All right, before we start the show, I had one of you MFers, a loyal viewer of the Michigan Football Report, hit me in the DMs. Said, James, believe it or not, I've never been to a Michigan game before. I'm heading up there for Northwestern. I'll be staying in Detroit, going to Ann Arbor. I need to know where I should be getting some pizza. And so I don't know if I've got the answer for you. I'm not a big pizza connoisseur in the city of Ann Arbor myself, so why not give you guys the opportunity to brag about the pizza place you love the most? I mean, people have said the Pizza House, right? If you're a Dave Brandon fan, you might say Domino's Pizza, as he's the former CEO there. Cottage Inn, producer Brett said Cottage Inn from his time in Ann Arbor. Or, I've never had a Cottage Inn in Ann Arbor more than once or twice, but it's a Toledo staple there. So there's some ones right there, but let me know. The best pizza place in Ann Arbor. And if you see anybody put a pizza place that you think is trash, make sure you reply to them and say, James, he's doing you dirty. So let the pizza wars ensue. We're going to get into some Michigan football mailbag questions coming up right now. Today's Michigan Football Report is presented by BETQL, the best service for beating your sportsbook. They tell you what games to bet, give you 5-star games every week, college, NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball. Get going, chatsports.com/MichiganQL. Promo code ChatMichigan for 25% off a monthly subscription. All right, we're going to take your questions here on the show today. Before we did, I've got 5 more Twitter shout-outs that I want to show some love to. These are people who followed me and the last week into the weekend that I hadn't had a chance to feature on the show. So, Football Fan L's, okay? I mentioned yesterday's show that there was a funny account. It's actually this one. This is the funny one, and it's basically a troll account. They're taking people like me who post, things, maybe sometimes that they regret, or I don't know, things like fire Jim Harbaugh 6 months ago. Now I'm showing Jim Harbaugh love. They're basically just trying to call out Michigan fans, but funny account. I recommend that you maybe follow them. We've got Film DK01. And Dev Sports, thank you for following. IM_Motown, a real Detroit guy there. And then 10OBLET, I get Tenablet. Thank you to those 5 for following me on Twitter at James Yoder. All right, we've got our Michigan football mailbag. Tuesday, I put out a call for questions on Facebook and on Twitter and on YouTube community, but didn't get as many questions right away as the other one. So this is mostly featuring, all featuring Facebook and Twitter. Let's start off with this question coming from Facebook. Joe Huff asks, he basically says, time will tell. I feel like Juwan is rubbing off on the other coaches in Michigan. They have a legit shot at a national championship in basketball and hockey. And you could argue right now, right? Think about where, a year or two ago compared to now for those 3 programs and where they are in the national landscape, right? Michigan's top ranked number 8 right now, undefeated at the midway point of the season. Michigan basketball is going to be ranked in the top 5 for the preseason. And Michigan hockey is, I think, ranked number 3 right now, but if they don't make both those schools, basketball and hockey, if either one doesn't make the Final Four or the Frozen Four, I think you could legitimately say it's a disappointing season. Michigan with 4 players on their roster who were drafted in the top 5 of this past summer's NHL draft. So you could end up with a couple of Final Four appearances, Frozen Four appearances, ideally a national title. So I think Juwan is a good culture guy. Certainly his affable personality and his kind of buddy next door personality has rubbed off on Michigan fans. And I think maybe it's rubbed off on Jim Harbaugh and the other Michigan coaches, like Joe Huff said. I think he's a good addition. I hope Michigan keeps him around for the long term. But I'll ask you guys this question, coming off of Joe's question to me, is which of these is more likely to happen? If you think it's that Juwan Howard and the Michigan basketball team win a national title, type B. If you think it's that Jim Harbaugh wins a Big Ten title, so national title, type B for basketball, Big Ten title, type F for football, you might get hit with an ad break here on YouTube. So while you do, I'll pin this comment directly below the video. Just scroll down, give me your answer, scroll back up. Ad break should be wrapped up. Question coming in from Facebook. We've got Dennis JP. What's going to be done, or what can be done about Cade's consistent overthrowing of his receivers? JJ seems to drop dimes, but Cade struggles at a distance. Good question coming in from Dennis, because it's an interesting conundrum that Michigan fans are in. I think a lot of people say, well, what's the difference between right now, at least what we've seen this season, between Michigan and Ohio State, or Michigan and Alabama. I know that those teams have lost games already, but I don't think there's anybody in their right mind would say, oh, Michigan's going to beat one of those teams or should be favored over them. Or even Michigan, Oklahoma. You know, they struggled on defense last week, but we saw their offense. And it is a dynamic passing game. Cade McNamara, from a few passes he's thrown this year, certainly looks the part on that from that perspective, that he can make all the throws. But I'm going to talk more about Cade McNamara here in a second, and JJ McCarthy. I think maybe people are missing a few points, but before I do, I did want to tell you guys, I mentioned BETQL off the top of the show. They went 3-0 in their 5-star picks against the spread, full game picks in last Sunday in Week 5. The Texans +8 against the Patriots, the Packers at the Bengals, and then the Steelers versus the Broncos. All those teams cover those point spreads, and a couple of them, covered with relative ease. And I want you guys to get going with BETQL because they've been helping me win. I think, what's my record now? In the last few weeks, I think but I didn't bet that first week when I went 1-4. Actual money games, I think I'm, 14-6? I'm talking about games I actually put money on. I put some cheap picks in when I wasn't even BETQL in Week 1. We were out of town. Those don't count. Actual money games, I think I'm 14-6 this year. I put it on Twitter. And if you want to put some money, win some money, have some fun, use BETQL's deal with BetMGM. So if you go to that link down at the bottom of the screen, chatsports.com/MichiganMGM, all you got to do is put up $10 and then make your first $10 bet with BetMGM, state of Michigan, or anywhere BetMGM is in a state that they offer. And once you do that, as long as you use that link, BETQL will email you within 24 hours of that $10 bet settling, and they will give you a free 1-year subscription. You will know all the 5-star bets throughout the year. So get going with BETQL and their deal with BetMGM, chatsports.com/MichiganMGM. It's down in the comments. It's down in the description. Click that link. Don't just Google BetMGM or anything. All right, so here's my take on Cade McNamara, right? It's fun. Think back to Tom Brady, right? Everyone wanted Drew Henson to come in and start right away as a true freshman. And it was super obvious that Henson was a different level of talent than probably any quarterback Michigan fans had seen in the past decade, right? Just jumped up the screen. And I think that's what JJ McCarthy, when he throws the ball, even when he runs the ball, right? We saw a couple nice runs against Nebraska. But you can't discredit what Cade McNamara has done, right? This is a 2-4 ball club that's now 6-0, right? I looked up the stat. I was going to make a joke on Twitter. I forgot to tweet it out, though. Jim Harbaugh, first coach in college football history to triple the prior year's wins before October 15th, right? Actual stat, verified. And Cade McNamara is part of that, right? A 6-0 quarterback who is missing 2 of his top 3 receivers from the starting lineup. Roman Wilson didn't play against Nebraska. You went in and you got that win. And Ronnie Bell has been out since middle of the second quarter of the first game of the year. So with what he's dealing with from a wide receiver perspective, to have only 1 turnover and have only 1 sack, still throwing the ball at a 60% clip. I know that I'm asking him to do a ton. I don't think you can consider benching him right now unless Michigan loses a game or gets blown out on the road against Michigan State or Penn State. Then maybe you think about it. But I think right now just get JJ in clutch spots, see what he has, and then potentially make that decision down the road if you're forced to. All right, Joe Manchin's fan page. No politics, you guys. No politics. This is blah blah 08. That's a wild name there on what is that? That's Twitter. Okay. Is the chance of JJ McCarthy starting this season gone? It seems like it could be, right? But I actually think that depends on if and when Michigan loses. Okay, if they lose against Michigan State, or if they're on the road against Michigan State on the 30th and they're down by 14 points in the third quarter, and Cade McNamara is looking bad, then you'll probably see JJ McCarthy come in and have 2 series to see what he can do. If he's doing good, he gets the game, and I bet he starts the next week, which would be in Indiana the following week. I would expect him to start against Indiana at home at that point. So I don't think it is necessarily gone. All depends on if Michigan loses and if Cade McNamara looks bad in that one. Look, you don't bench a 6-0 QB after a 2-4 season, right? You just can't do it. So Cade McNamara at this point, I don't think there's anything that is going to happen with his backup, JJ McCarthy, that is going to win the job. I think if Cade is not going to be the starting quarterback this season, and JJ is, I think Cade McNamara will have to lose the starting quarterback job through poor play and potentially a bad loss here over the next 6 games. Clee the Great, or CL the Great, I thought I was Clee the Great, Ohio, at CL the Great Ohio, says, why is the Big Ten East the absolute best division in college football and still given 0 damn credit? Look, I mean, I think that's typically the case, but I think they're getting a lot of credit right now. nationally, locally, etc., they are getting a lot of credit. 5 teams ranked inside the top 10 right now. You've got the number 2 team in the country. You've got 2 one-loss teams ranked inside the top 10. Then you've got 2 undefeated teams kind of the back end. Michigan at number 8, Michigan State at number 10. Now, all those schools are going to play each other outside of Iowa. They've got a game or two here. They are at Penn State, but I don't think they play Michigan State, Michigan, or Ohio State. So Iowa potentially has a pretty simple road to being undefeated in the Big Ten. But I think they are getting a lot of them. And if you have some really great games between Michigan State and Penn State, or Ohio State and Penn State in a couple weeks, Michigan and Michigan State that same day, you're going to go into November with 3 or 4 teams with a legit shot at the college football playoff. And I think this could be the year, honestly, with 5 teams in the top 10, that the Big Ten actually does get 2 teams in the college football playoff. All right, we're talking about the past. Again, not talking trash. I'm not throwing shade. If you're a subscriber of Michigan Podcast, good for you. I hope he fills the void that we can't fill for you. But make sure you follow us too, because we're closing in. I've been hammering this point home for the past month or so. We're about 2,000 or 3,000 subscribers back. Now we're in striking distance, about 250 or so away. So really would appreciate anyone who is not subscribed to the channel. If you're thinking about it and you haven't yet, this is the time now, because we're in striking distance. We can catch him, Michigan Podcast, within 2 or 3 weeks from now at the rate we've been going. So make sure to subscribe, youtube.com/Michigan TV. Preston_1287, wonderful name there. Your parents are obviously very smart people for naming you Preston. If Michigan's only losses this year are to Michigan State and Ohio State, is Harbaugh back next year? All right. I'll address this question here in a second, but I did kind of miss something off the top on the pizza conversation that I wanted to make sure we got to. Producing the year saying, don't forget about the Detroit. The guy said he was going to stay in Detroit. So the guy I told you about, the MFer who said he's going to his first Michigan game, he wanted to know about Ann Arbor, but he's also staying in Detroit. So we want to make sure you guys have the opportunity too. So if you're down in the comment, in the pizza wars, they're getting crazy right now. Let me know the best pizza in Detroit as well. And he said he's staying downtown, but if you want to give some suburbs places, so get in the pizza wars, but identify whether it's Ann Arbor or Detroit. Let me know the best pizza in the city of Detroit. I'm a Detroit pizza style guy. I love all the restaurants they have. There's one out here in Dallas that just opened a couple weeks back that I went to. Detroit pizza is phenomenal. So let me know with the best pizza place for this guy to go, this MFer, in the city of Detroit. All right, so here's my take on that last question. Jim Harbaugh's team fell apart last year. They were a disaster. There's a lot of things going on off the field with the coaches' personal lives that it's not my place to talk about, but it's been out there, and they clearly weren't focused. They let coronavirus and COVID and everything that have happened completely derail everything they were trying as a program, and Harbaugh redid the entire staff. If he replaces 7 coaches, replacing his entire recruiting staff, makes all kinds of operational changes their entire philosophy as a program from speed and space to a run-first, ground rate offense, and goes 10-2, even if those losses are against Michigan State and Ohio State. You're not firing the guy. He's probably your national coach of the year, right? As long as he keeps those games close. And I'm not advocating for Michigan to lose that game, and I really don't believe they'll go 0-2 in those 2 games. Michigan State being on the road, Ohio State being at home. But if Jim Harbaugh can take last year's absolute pile of garbage of a team that they rolled out there for those 6 games in 2020 and turn them into a 10-2 regular season this year with losses to what, as right now, are top 10 teams, and if they both beat Michigan, I'm guessing we'll both be top 5 or 6 teams at some point this year. Ohio State's obviously already there. Then Jim Harbaugh should be getting considered for National Coach of the Year, and certainly not fired. I don't care what his record is against Ohio State if you go 10-2 after a 2-4 year. All right, one more time with BETQL. I told you about the 3 5-star bets this year. I'll wet the beak a little bit, okay? Convince you guys. Go bet $10. If you want college, I'll give a college 5-star bet for you guys. I will give a NFL 5-star bet. All right, college 5-star bet, Northwestern +2 at home versus Rutgers. That's an interesting one. That seems like a wild line to me. That's a 5-star bet from BetQL. Go put $10 on it with BetMGM. And this is a wild one too. But hey, they've had a lot of wild ones that end up coming true. Giants +10.5 at home versus the Rams. Interesting one. 5-star bet. Take the Giants. Take Northwestern. Both at home. BetQL. So jetsports.com/MichiganMGM. Get going. Make one of those bets with $10. You'll get a free year of a BetQL subscription, their app, their website. It's awesome. So much data, so many betting insights. Next question coming up from Matthew Kostov. And he says, where did I get a question? Chances that Indiana versus Michigan game at the Big House is a night game, which would be the first Saturday in November for that one, Michigan's fourth to last game of the year. It's not likely, but it's possible. Why is it not likely? Michigan doesn't host in normal years. I know they did last year for Wisconsin. They don't host night games after the end of October, right? It just doesn't happen. And they, so they probably won't this year, but it's a pretty weak slate nationally that week. I don't know, with ABC, ESPN, Big Ten Network, usually two of those three are a Big Ten primetime game. I don't know what other options are there, so it's possible. I think Michigan will probably have to, sign off on it. I didn't really look at the contractual obligations. Typically, they don't have night games in November, but it's possible because of the weak slate that week. But we'll see what happens. That game will be announced 2 Mondays prior to kickoff, so 12 days before the game kicks off. Not likely. We'll see what happens. I love another night game. I'd love it to be against Indiana, too, given the choices they have home. Clearly, Ohio State's not. That's a noon game. All right, we'll be back. I've got all kinds of videos. It's bye week. I'm not taking any time off, though. We'll have a video for you Thursday, Friday, and into the weekend. And next week, even when I'm on vacation, I'll pre-film some video. Until I see you guys again, go Blue.